Kathy Sorrow, and I'm here to share with you a yin practice for hips. Yin yoga focuses on ligaments, joints, and bones. It's excellent for improving range of motion, improves flexibility, and reduces stress. Yin is meant to be practiced when your body is cold, not when your muscles are warm. It deals primarily with the plastic tissues, your joints, ligaments, and your connective tissue. And that's where you gain the most flexibility. We will be holding each position between 3 and 5 minutes. And just remember, with each inhalation, you're creating lots of space, and with each exhalation, focusing on releasing. So let's get started in child's pose. Come to hands and knees wide, toes touch. Sit back on your heels. Walk your hands forward as far as they can go and bring either your chin or your forehead to the mat. Today I have a blanket, and I also have 2 blocks in case we need extra support. So if you'd like, you can bring your blanket underneath your forehead or your knees if you would like more softness. I think I'm gonna put the blanket underneath my knees. So just open it up because we will be here for 3 minutes. So knees wide, toes touch, walk your hands forward, forehead or chin finds the mat or the blanket. And start to breathe into your back body. Breathing in lots of space, maybe noticing where you feel any sort of tension. Breathe into that space. And as you exhale, sink a little more closely to the mat. Start to maybe even focus on your breath, slowing your breath down. And maybe applying an intention for your practice. Maybe thinking about becoming more resilient. Giving your body permission to release. We'll be here for about 90 more seconds. And on your next inhale, come up to your hands and knees, finding your tabletop. Maybe sway your hips just side to side to release that posture. Come back to your child's pose. Knees wide, toes touch, send your hips back. Walk your hands off to the right, maybe about 12 inches. Your right palm presses into the floor, then your left palm stacks over that right. Forehead finds the mat. Breathe into that left side body and exhale the left hip towards the left heel and the right hand towards the left hand towards the right. Relax. Breathe deeply, bringing all that nourishing energy to the left side of the body, into the hips. And exhale, melt into the mat. We'll be here for 3 minutes. As you breathe in, notice any sensation. Breathe into that space. We'll be here for a few more seconds, a few more rounds of breath. And on your next inhale, lift your head, lift your chest, walk your hands back through center. And exhale, left hand reaches off to the left, right hand stacks on top of left. Send your right hip to your right heel, breathing into that right side body, breathing into any sensation here. And exhale, release. Let it all go. We'll be here for 3 minutes. We'll be here for a few more rounds of breath. Breathing into your back body. And on your next inhale, walk your hands back to center. And exhale, slowly shift into a tabletop. Bring your knees beneath your hips. Your wrists are beneath your shoulders. And walk your knees back and allow your hips to sink towards the mat. Tops of the feet are pressing down into the mat. Be gentle and mindful, finding a straight arm cobra here. Looking over your right shoulder, back to center, and over your left shoulder, releasing that child's pose. Come back to center, tuck onto your toes, lift your hips, find a downward facing dog. Preparing for dragon pose on the right side. Inhale, gazes between the hands. Exhale, step your right foot forward between the hands. Grab your blocks and place them at their highest height. Lower that left knee down. Maybe you'd like to have that blanket beneath your knee to create a bit of softness here. And make sure your right knee is directly over your right heel. And as you have your blocks next to your right ankle, shift your left knee back just a bit. Breathing in, lifting your heart, pressing into the blocks. Chest is lifted, shoulders away from the ears. Top of the left foot is facing down onto the mat. Breathing in and breathing out. Staying here with the support of the blocks if this feels good. Stay here, or maybe you place the blocks at a lower height, or maybe your fingertips are touching the floor. Whatever feels best to you. We'll be here for 3 minutes. Remembering to allow. There's very little forcing and lots of allowing. Allow the release to happen. This takes time. Today we're giving ourselves a moment to embrace that softness, to embrace that release. Make sure your shoulders are staying away from your ears, your collarbones are open. Taking a few more breath rounds here. pressing into those blocks, straightening the right knee, lifting the right toes, finding a half split here, maybe walk your blocks back, releasing that shape. Taking a few breaths here. Walking the blocks forward as you bend into that right knee. Take your blocks off to the side. And step your right foot back, finding your tabletop shape. Knees together, toes touch. Sit back on your heels, finding that child's pose variation for just a minute. Keeping your arms reaching forward or maybe placing them down by your side. Relax. On your next inhale, come back to your tabletop, tuck onto your toes, downward facing dog. Hip, sit bones are lifting. Inhale, gazes forward. Step your left foot between your hands, lower your right knee, preparing for dragon on the opposite side. Grab your blocks at whatever height feels best to you. Make sure your left knee is tracking over that left ankle and take your right knee back just a bit. The top of the right foot is gently placed onto the mat. Chest is lifted, crown of the head is lifted, sinking into that right hip flexor. And anytime you start to feel a little too much sensation, either breathe into that space or give yourself permission to make yourself about 10% more comfortable. Maybe that means backing out of the shape a little bit. Maybe that means breathing more deeply. But allow that breath to guide you. And ask yourself, what is it that my body needs right now? And do that. 2 more minutes in this shape. Take a few more breath rounds here. And start to straighten that left knee. Walk your blocks back just a bit, using them for support. Left toes are reaching for you. You're folding over that left knee, slightly releasing that dragon shape on the left side. And bend into that left knee. Walk your blocks to the sides of your mat. Place your fingertips down to frame that left foot. Tuck onto your right toes. And come back to downward facing dog. Lower your knees to the mat. Come to sit on your heels and come to sit off to one side or the other, placing your legs out in front of you. Preparing for cow face pose. So take your left knee in a 90-degree angle shape, and then your right knee, your right ankle sits on top of your left thigh. Your right thigh sits on top of your left ankle. And maybe there's a bit of space between your right knee and your left ankle bone. Maybe that feels okay for you, or maybe you need a little bit of support where you put the block underneath that left knee. Take an inhale here, chest lifts, crown of the head lifts. And exhale, either stay here or maybe hinge at the hips and fold forward a little bit, finding wherever feels comfortable for you. Whenever that sensation or tension starts, breathe into that space. And maybe as you release, you start to fold a little more forward. Or maybe that right knee starts to sink towards the floor. Or maybe that feels like too much and you come out. Ask yourself, what is it that your body needs? We'll be in this shape for 2 more minutes. On your next inhale, if you're hinging at the hips, come back to your normal seat and cross your right foot over that left hip and hug your left heel towards your right sit bone. And find a gentle twist here, hugging your right knee with your left arm. Reach your right hand behind you and just give yourself a gentle twist here to let that go. Slowly unwind. Let's take that shape to the opposite side. So I said this was a cow face shape, but I was wrong. I made a mistake. This is a fire log shape. So make sure your right knee is just about at a 90-degree angle. Your right foot is flexed. And place your right ankle on top, your left ankle on top of your right thigh, your left knee over top of your right ankle. Almost like your shins are fire logs. Maybe you take that block and place it between that space, between your left knee and the floor or your ankle, or maybe not, whatever feels supportive to you. Inhale, stacking the vertebrae, crown of the head grows tall. And exhale, shifting forward at the hips if that feels good to you. As long as you're feeling sensation, especially in that outer left hip, it's all the same work, releasing into that space, breathing into that sensation. Finding softness in your face, in your shoulders. Just notice. Notice what your body's telling you. Just take a few more rounds of breath here. Slowly start to lift the crown of your head, stacking the vertebrae, and slowly and mindfully removing the block, taking the sole of the left foot on the other side of the right thigh and tucking your right heel towards your left sit bone. And inhale and exhale, hug your left knee with your right forearm and twist toward the back of the room to release that stretch. Inhale, come back to center, and just slowly unwind, placing your feet about 2 feet apart, knees bent in front of you, and just windshield wiper your knees from one side to the other. Take your time. Come back to center. Finding yourself back in a tabletop where your blocks are easy to reach. Take those knees wide. I like the blanket underneath my knees to create some softness. Your knees are going to be bent at a 90-degree angle, so the inside edges of your feet are touching the floor, preparing for a frog hold. So knees are out as wide as what feels comfortable. You don't want to be too far forward or too far back. Knees at a 90-degree angle. We'll be here for a little longer than 3 minutes. So it's really important as you release into the shape that you also want to remain comfortable. So you don't need to go too fast. This is about taking your time and really allowing that stretch to take place. So maybe you stay up on your hands here for a few breaths until your body starts to say, okay, this is safe for me. This can feel awkward, finding that spot. So just giving yourself permission to find that sweet spot of where that release can actually take place. So maybe coming down on your right elbow and then your left. Maybe even finding a block, put that between your hands and allow your forehead to rest onto the block. Keeping your shoulders away from your ears. No pinching in the back of the neck. We'll be here for about 3 minutes. And as you release, you might want to remove the block and stack the palms of your hands and place your forehead on top of your hands. Whatever feels best to you, do that. Taking just a few more breath rounds here. Slowly coming up onto one elbow, then the other. And just shift forward gently, coming to your belly. Take your time. Extend your legs long behind you, tops of the feet, find the mat. And maybe even just tap the mat with the tops of your feet, letting that go. Your elbows come underneath your shoulders, palms facing down, pressing a bit into that forefinger and thumb. Shimmy your hips back just a little bit. Tops of the feet are firmly planted down. The pelvis, front of the pelvis is planted down into the mat. Your heart draws forward. You're pressing into the elbows, finding your Sphinx pose. Staying here for 3 minutes. This actually might feel effortless compared to the frog hold. Make sure your shoulders aren't creeping up towards your ears. Stay with that spine extended. Your neck is in line with the spine. Notice where you might be holding here. Are you clenching anywhere? Let that go. Let your glutes go. Give yourself permission to get a little more comfortable. Maybe you shift from side to side. Maybe you lower your chin and then lift it again. We'll be here for just a few more breath rounds. Slowly lower your head and chest to the mat. Go ahead and keep your elbows bent and stack the palms of your hands. Bend your right knee and take it off to the side and place the sole of your right foot inside your left inner thigh. Your forehead can rest on top of your stacked palms, or maybe your arms are in a T-shape, palms facing down, and your gaze is to the left. This is a belly down tree pose. We'll be here for 3 minutes. Feeling the sensation of the mat beneath you. Feeling the support of the mat. Telling yourself, I'm safe, I'm protected, I'm whole. taking a few more rounds of breath here. Go ahead and extend that right leg long behind you. Elbows come beneath the shoulders, finding that Sphinx pose once again. Feel all that length in the front body. Spine extended long, pressing into those elbows. Shoulders soften away from the ears. Shoulder blades flat to the back. We'll be here for about 2 minutes. Stay here for just a few more rounds of breath. And then slowly lower your chest and your forehead to the mat. Maybe you stack your palms, the opposite palm on top this time. Placing your forehead on top of your stacked palms and taking your left knee out to the side, your left sole of your left foot to the inside of your right thigh for that face down tree shape. Maybe your left cheek finds the mat as you extend your arms in a T shape or a cactus shape with your palms face down. Feeling the earth beneath you. Really resisting the urge to hold and clench here. Really releasing into the earth. Maybe even feeling the earth coming up to catch you. Release into this safe space. Taking 2 more rounds of breath here. Extend that left leg long behind you, and maybe just shake your hips from side to side. Kind of release that shape, let it go. Place your hands beneath your shoulders, press yourself up into a tabletop, and come to sit on your mat. Legs extended out in front of you, and make sure you have a block handy. So knees are bent. And let's slowly lower down onto our backs. And bring the heels of our feet nice and close to the sit bones, preparing for a restorative bridge here. So on your next inhale, press your lower back into the mat. Actually, make sure your shoulder blades are nice and flat to the mat. You're pressing the back of your head firmly into the mat. You're pressing your lower back into the mat. So inhale, lift your hips and place that block on the shortest side. And just allow your sacrum to drape over that block. Palms are facing down. And maybe this feels like enough here. Stay here for like 60 seconds. And if this feels like enough, stay here. Or if you'd like to extend your right leg long, feeling lots of length in the front of the right hip flexor, making sure your right toes are facing the sky. We'll be here for a minute. Making sure your left knee is parallel with the right. Your right leg is extended, your right foot, your right toes are facing to the sky. Your legs aren't splaying out. Taking 2 more rounds of breath here. Bending into that right knee, placing the right foot back on the floor, nice and close to the right sit bone. Take a few breaths here, both knees in the center. And as you exhale, extend that left leg long. Left toes are reaching for the sky. Right knee is facing the sky. hips are square to the ceiling. And breathe into any area that might feel tense. One side could feel different than the other. That's okay. We'll be here for 60 seconds. We'll be here for 2 more breaths. Bend into that left knee. Place the sole of the left foot back down on the ground, hip distance apart. And then as you inhale, lift your hips off the block and place the block off to the side. Slowly lower your hips. And just allow that spine to reintegrate. And maybe hug your knees to your chest. Be gentle, go slow. Hugging your right knee into your chest, extend that left leg long. Keeping your right hand clasped to your right shin, open up that right knee off to the right, keeping that left hip grounding down into the mat. Take a few rounds of breath here. On your next inhale, bring that right knee back to center and take that right knee across your body, using your left hand, guiding it with your left hand, finding a twist here. Take your right arm into a goal post or a T shape. Your right shoulder is reaching down toward the mat as your right knee is reaching across your body. Finding a supine twist here. We'll stay here for a minute. Remembering to release anything that you're holding. Maybe you're holding in your left hip. Maybe your brow is furrowed. On your next inhale, bring your right knee back to center. Hug it nice and tight towards your chest. And extend your right leg long. Hug your left knee into your chest. your left hand grasps your left shin. Open up that left knee. Really grounding down with the right hip. Just taking a couple rounds of breath here. On your next inhale, cross the body with that left knee. Use your right hand to guide it along. And extend your left arm out into a T shape or a cactus shape. Gaze is off to the left. Left shoulder is rooting down into the mat. Enjoy this supine twist. We'll be here for about 60 seconds. And on your next inhale, bring that left knee back to center. Hug it nice and tight towards your chest. And extend that left leg long. Now if you'd like to take a normal Shavasana, allow your feet to kind of take up as much space as you like on the mat. Maybe shimmy your hips down the mat just a little more, taking that lumbar spine just a little closer to the mat. Take your shoulder blades and place them nice and flat onto the mat. Allow your palms to face up. Or maybe take the soles of your feet and bring them together in a butterfly shape Shavasana. Whatever feels best to you. Just taking a quick body scan, starting with the top of your head, tuning in to your breath, imagining that bright white light right between your eyes. And as you inhale, with each inhale, imagining that light reaching every cell of your body, expanding from your head to your chest, out your shoulders and your arms to your fingertips, into your abdomen, your hips, your thighs, your knees, your shins and calves and feet. There is nowhere to go or nothing to do. Just breathe. bring some movement back to your fingers and your toes. And when you're ready, roll over onto your right side using your arm as a pillow. And when you're ready, with your eyes closed, press yourself up into a comfortable cross-legged seat. Palms together at your heart, chins bowed. Thank you so much for sharing in this practice with me today. It is an honor to be your teacher. Open up, let go, and shine bright.